All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Jason McClellan with Insurance Advisors Direct, and we have Christy McGorian on the phone with us from Assurity. We're excited to have you with us this afternoon to listen to some great products and selling ideas that myself and Christy will be sharing with you. And in addition to the, of course, services that Insurance Advisors Direct provides as an FMO, of course, we focus heavily on the sales training, sales tools, back office support, and mentoring that independent agents need to be successful in this industry. In addition to that, you have to have great products and a great carrier to go along with it. So we are excited to be partners with Assurity, and we're excited to have Christy with us this afternoon to go over their simplified disability product. And, of course, perfect timing because it is Disability Awareness Month. And so, again, we look forward to hearing her presentation. Look forward to having a nice informal discussion. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christy to get into their disability product.
All right. Well, thanks, Jason, and thank you for those who have joined us today. I want to jump right in and get to the meat and potatoes of this presentation so you guys can hopefully take away, a few good ideas as for clients that you may reach out to. So as they go through, I really do encourage you, if any part you hear you have a question on, type that in right away. Or if you have an idea from something we talk about for a client that you know that would be a good fit, make sure to write that down as well. So just to get started, for those who didn't join us before, I'd like to just give a very quick overview of Assurity. We are a Midwest-based company in Lincoln, Nebraska. We celebrated 125 years this past August. And what we really do pride ourselves on is being that one-stop shop and Midwest service focused. What I mean by that is anything we can do to help out you on a case you're working on, anything we can do, you're running through Jason and we can help with, we're here to do that. And, however the question may be, we want to do anything we can to help you to get that piece of business. So, as I mentioned, everything we do here really is that Midwest service and Midwest focused when it comes to the income. So what we're talking about income-wise is traditionally any incomes of $50,000 up to $200,000 is kind of our niche market. Now, we do go outside of that, on both ways, but that's kind of where we've seen the niches where our products have been sold. And what we have realized at Assurity, as time has changed, it isn't the, go and have necessarily that meeting in the agent's office for 2 hours to go over things. We know that isn't what's happening anymore. People want convenience. They like to be able to look things up on the internet, get answers. They want to know everything before they call and talk to you about it. But what we do know is whether it is a one-income home, a two-income home, or more than that, there is a financial hardship with any type of loss of income. So what I want you to think about is the many different things that we have the capability of insuring today. And what I want you to think about is how this presentation will give you those ideas to help your client realize that their income, their paycheck, should be the first thing that they're insuring. So what I want to do is have you think about your current client base and think about the different levels of income that you may work with. Different clients, different occupations. We know those income levels will stretch from one side to the other. But I want you to think about that younger client you may know. So if we were to look at a 35-year-old currently making $40,000 a year, by you selling them a disability policy to cover and protect their income, you really are protecting a $1.2 million asset. Now, that is assuming for the next 35 years, they do not get a raise. They do not change occupation and have a different income. One that makes $75,000 a year, that's $2.25 million. Again, not averaging in any raises of any type. So when you're working with that client, and tell them, think about, you have a mortgage. Well, we know we have kind of two types of mortgage insurance we get. One is going to be the life insurance part if something were to happen. What happens though if you don't have a paycheck to pay that mortgage? We think about car insurance. Car insurance and mortgage insurance kind of is one of those unwritten rules that, you have to have if you are going to own either one of those. But I want you to think about things that may fit more even with today. Think about that big 60-inch TV that they just bought for football season or basketball season. A lot of times you go through the line to pay for that, they're going to ask you about insurance on that TV. People traditionally will insure that, $1,500 to $3,000 purchase. Think about the last cell phone they purchased. Chances are they're either paying monthly an insurance premium on that phone or they paid it a bulk at once. So again, giving you these ideas on how to approach this market. You have to make sure you're able to relate that to things that they have purchased. So you may ask your client, hey, I noticed last time you were in here, you had a different phone. Now that one you have, that big iPhone 6S is huge. Ask them about the insurance on that new phone. Again, you just got to give them that way, give them an idea of how you can really work and approach them on really protecting that biggest asset that they do have. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our product. We have a setup for our Century Plus plan. And after I'm going to just run through this briefly, and then we'll go back and really spend the time focusing on ideas, because that's going to be really where you guys are going to get your inspiration to sell. So our product is available for ages 18 to 60. We have 4 different NOC classes. We can offer benefits up to $15,000, have elimination periods as short as 30 days, and offer benefits up to age 67. Our product is guaranteed renewable. In the industry, you have guaranteed renewable and you have non-can. Non-can means the policy is guaranteed, nothing will change. Guaranteed renewable is that it's guaranteed to renew every year, but there is a potential something could change in regards to the rates. Now, I will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, Assurity has been in business for 125 years, and we have never had a rate increase on one of our products. So being that smaller Midwestern company, we have a very smart team of actuaries who make sure we are never put in the place where we would need to do that. So occupations. I know every carrier that sells disability insurance has different occupation classes and different clients that may fall into each of those. So I just wanted to give you an idea here of what we see. Your 4A is going to be the best occupation. So think of anyone who sits at a desk on a day-by-day basis. Your 3A is going to be targeted more towards that medical market. 2A is going to be, your hands-on labor. And your 1A is going to be that higher risk occupation. So someone who is working construction or is up on a roof, police officers, firemen. Now with Assurity, I think what makes us the most unique is our definition of disability. And what our definition is, if it keeps you from doing all of the substantial and material duties of your own occupation, we're going to pay a benefit. So it's a very straightforward definition. If you don't work, you can't do your job due to that disability, you're going to get paid. And just to give you an example of how this works, we actually have a nurse. She was an ER nurse here in the Lincoln area, had bought a disability policy and was in a pretty severe car accident. She is recovered, but she has some serious issues with her back. Different vertebrae and things move that they can't correct with surgery. One of the jobs that she has to be able to do, that requirement with being an ER nurse, is the capabilities of lifting at minimum 50 pounds. And so with the issues with her back, she no longer was able to do that. Now, since she was not able to do one of those substantial duties of her occupation, we're going to pay disability to her. So she currently is receiving benefit checks from us, had a benefit period up to age 67, so we're going to pay her benefits for the next 30 years or so. And she is able right now to work another job. So our plan pays on the occupation that they have when they apply for this plan. So even though she could go and be, a nurse in a family physician's office, do whatever, teach classes, she actually sells insurance now to hospitals. She saw the benefit. She has a great story to tell. And so she's receiving a paycheck from us while also receiving disability benefits. So it's based on that own occupation. Another feature about Assuirty is we really structure these plans to be all about your clients. We want to make sure that you have those different options to help them, put that extra layer of frosting on the cake. If there's different things that the client may, can't afford that longest benefit period. We have a rider like the catastrophic that extends a benefit period for them for catastrophic or, basically a lot of those long-term conditions. Pricing is going to be a lot different, but it's just those different features, So there's many different things that we have available that you can have access to really customize the plan to your client's needs. Now, underwriting, I know for an insurance agent and for a client, underwriting is just the word that sounds like the hand screeching down a chalkboard. No one likes underwriting. I know that. The main things we look at here, we're going to look at your occupation. But we don't want to just know what the occupation is. We want to know what that client is actually doing on a day-by-day basis. Just because a title could be seen one way where the work is something completely different. Second, we look at income. Disability benefits are tied around your income. Traditionally in the industry, you're going to see about 60% is the benefit that's offered. Health conditions, we do look at health conditions and encourage if you have a client that has anything specific, to call in and talk with an underwriter. Or make sure you put all the information out on the application, all the little section, and give us that extra information about that condition. One thing that has changed a lot, in the 12 years I've been here, is the different capabilities we have within a disability policy to still offer coverage and not just decline. So we have many different options where we may put a rating on a case, exclude a certain condition, give a condition its own elimination and benefit period. So we do have some different things we can do there as well. So even if you had a client that, let's say 10 years ago had worked with an agent to get disability and, they don't think they're eligible, I definitely would encourage you, to collect some information and give us a call. Another thing, speaking back to that convenience factor that we know this middle-income America wants, we do have some pretty nice non-med limits available and not needing that income. So I do encourage you when you're working with your clients to take a look, at that underwriting guideline, and if they're looking for $3,100, are they okay with doing that pyramid exam, or would they rather stay at $3,000 not to do that? So we have a lot of clients that, they like that feature. Again, they want to be able to get the coverage, they want to be able to get it quick, and they want it to be easy. One thing, there it is. One thing we do have on our website, and I will get a copy of this to Jason to share with you as well, we have this agent checklist. And this is something, if you haven't sold a lot of disability, or you're ever working with a client that maybe has a very complicated occupation or has a few different things in their health history that, we're going to need more information on, this form will help you kind of guide you in the direction of the information that we really would want for that pre-screen. You can send these over to us, and we will have an underwriter take a look at them, and then we will send you back a quote as well for that if we're able to offer. So that is all I'm going to talk about product-wise. I'm going to jump right into these sales ideas. So the first market that we see a huge opportunity with would be self-employed clients. So I want you to think about anyone in your current book of business who owns their own business, or maybe is a business partner in a business. One thing that we see in this market quite a bit is they get coverage. So let's say someone is, we know we need disability. Maybe they get coverage, but they don't really know what they need to choose. Or they try to get coverage before and find out, their income is low enough, they don't really qualify for what they think they should be able to get, and they end up just deciding they don't need it. Well, what we've done here at Assurity is really taking a love for self-employed clients. We offer an all-class upgrade. Now, what that means for you and for your client is that rate is going to get cheaper when we give them a better alt class. So, part of the alt class rating does, affect that premium, and this is going to help them to get a better rate. As long as they have 3 years as a business owner, have a net income of $30,000, and are at least 10% owner of their business. The other thing this will allow them, besides saving the premium, is giving them additional options they may not have had before. So that 2A occupation, if they wanted to get a 2age 65 or 67 benefit period, traditionally they would have to be netting over $40,000 of income. But by us upping them, because they're over $30,000, they would have access to that without having to meet that income requirement. Another thing that we offer for those small businesses would be a discount on policies. Now, this is going to be good in all states with the exception of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So the way this would work is we would just get the policies in. They don't have to be on a list bill. They can be individually billed. We just have to have them all come in at the same time. And we will give that discount. And I'll show you kind of what those rates will look like here shortly. The biggest thing, though, for that business owner is making that decision. And, as I mentioned, maybe they've tried for coverage and find out what they thought they should be getting, they're not able to get. Well, the one thing we know about business owners is strategically they have aligned themselves with a very nice accountant. So we know that they have gotten anything down for their taxes. They're writing off everything that they can. So their personal income may not look that attractive. So one thing that we do offer here would be that business overhead insurance plan, where if you're working with that client, recommend offering both a Century Plus and that BOE to them. Reason for that, you don't want them to have to make that choice. Do I take care of putting that roof over my family's head, or do I keep the business going? And a lot of times, those are the reasons you will see causes for bankruptcy. Because in that self-employed person's mind, they're thinking, well, if I keep the roof over my head, which I really need to do, the business is going to go under. But if I take care of the business, then there'll be money for other things. But traditionally, if that person is disabled or, that's going to limit their capabilities to keep that business running, unless they do have a big staff. So by offering both that individual plan to cover their own personal expenses, their income, and also that BOE to help cover those business expenses. So just to show you here what we would do for the self-employed client here. We look at that picture, we can see just on this benefit with that salary, we were offering $2,980 for $82 a month. When we add in just that upgrade right there, that's taking that premium down to $55. If we do have 3 or more policies, an additional 15%, that's going to make that policy now cost $47.40. Now, if we were to go and throw on a $5,000 business overhead plan, that premium is going to be just roughly $40. So you can see with these different upgrades and credits we have available for a business owner, for an additional $4.62, we're giving them $5,000 to cover their business. Now, depending on the client's, budget, that, may seem like that's still too much. They don't want to pay that. But what I really want you to think about there is, hey, maybe someone else has already came to them and given them this price over here, given that 82, just for that $29.80. But you're telling them you can get them $7,980 for $4 more than their previous quote. Makes it pretty easy for that client to understand. Also, that business owner can write that off. Next, what I want to talk about in your current book of business is clients that typically aren't thought of someone who I even would want to offer disability to. So what I want you to think about here, and I want you to write down these 3 words: hands, feet, and back. So you think about all of those occupations, people you may know that fit that bill. People that use their hands on a daily basis in their occupation, people that are on their feet all day, and people whose jobs would be affected by their back. So here we're thinking about this cosmetologist. This cosmetologist uses all 3 of those. Someone who is a doctor would use all 3 of those as well. So they're, looking at that market, just people you don't really think of. So I do think of my cosmetologist, who I think about what would happen if she were disabled or she had hurt her hand, but she didn't have that disability policy, so she was still working. I don't want her to cut my hair. Think about that person being on their feet all day long. What else could happen to them potentially? So it's a market that will see the need if someone approaches them on it. Now, when you approach this kind of client, one thing you have to know is you have to avoid certain things. And what I mean by certain things is we don't want to tell them, if you were injured or, if you were to break both your hands, if you were hurt, or if you had a health concern. You don't want to use that. What you want to do is tell that cosmetologist, if you're not able to go to work, this is how much benefit this policy would pay you. You would get paid for this at the end of each month. How long do you get paid? Well, if we have, a 2-year benefit period, they'll get paid for 2 years as long as you still are not able to do those duties of your occupation. What do I need to get paid? We just need to fill out this application and get you this insurance. If you ever need it, it's there. How much will it cost? If we look at this particular example for this client, we're looking at a cost of, roughly $2 a day. So you have to be very specific with them because, again, they don't want to hear those phrases, if you were injured. Immediately that client's mind is thinking about that's not going to happen to them. So one advantage you have with the market, what's already in your book of business, you have that huge advantage of already knowing that client. It's part of that total financial plan you may be building for them. If you're selling other insurance products, that's that foundation for them. And you really are able to have that first meeting, that first approach on it, be really customized to what you know of their needs already. So personal stories can go a long way. If you don't have a story of someone who has been disabled, the Life Happens website has many, many great examples. Also, just think about things you see in your community. We have a fundraiser available, a pancake feed or a spaghetti feed. Those things all to think about. If that person is not able to do their job, and that's why we're helping raise money for them. Now, one thing that there's all sorts of things agents can do to try to get the client actually to make that question and give you that question, or what does this mean, or what is this? And what we see here is take this lovely little pyramid on the right side of your screen and take a copy of it and then put it on your desk. That way when you're meeting with that client, they can see, whether it is you're working with them on retirement, maybe you're a PNC agent, maybe you're a health insurance agent. All of those policies depend on their income. And sometimes just showing those clients that graphic of what that looks like can help out. Now, funny story, I have an agent actually who kind of took this even a step further. They had worked with a lot of clients, actually came from a PNC background, and set up meetings with clients to talk about, other needs, life insurance and disability. And found with some of those clients, they had kind of a smaller community, so they had worked a lot with, one financial advisor to kind of help them plan out, how they're saving their money and planning for retirement. When he asked the question, did that financial planner offer you insurance on your paycheck? Most of them had no idea what he was talking about. They never heard of disability. And, by using that phrase with them, so depending on the line of business you may be working in, or maybe they mention, we've had someone who does all these things for us already, just ask them that question. Did your financial planner offer you insurance on that paycheck? It's a good way to make them think about there might be something that they're missing that they weren't aware of. So features for your clients in this, again, just that capability of being able to really customize a plan for your own client's lifestyle. Being able to adjust the elimination and benefit based on their income, riders to choose from, and being able to explain that real life scenario to them is going to be huge. So here, if we look back at that same client now, we were to add on 3 different riders for them. So we're going to add on our automatic benefit increase rider, that ABIR. And what that's going to do is every year the client were to be disabled, every year they have that anniversary of claims being paid, it's a COLA rider. So we're going to give them a little bit of a cost of living increase. That catastrophic rider, this client, maybe can't afford that to age 65 benefit period, but that's what she really wants. That CAT rider is going to be a way for them to extend just that base benefit to age 65. Under $1 a month. That retroactive rider, if this client were to become injured and become disabled, what it's going to do once they meet that elimination period, it's going to go back and reimburse that base benefit for those, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it may be. So just adding a lot of different features there, but we see we're only spending another $6. So just a good way for you, like, here's the plan, but now to get you some of these things, here are some other options of things that we can add on. All right, so the next client I want to talk about is that false sense of security. So if you think about any time that you have ever worked with a client to sell them any type of insurance and you have heard, no, I'm not interested, or no, I don't need that, I already have it through my employer. We all have heard the one, it's never going to happen to me. But what I want you to think about here is for someone who says, no, I have it through my employer, I want you to think about what that employee is thinking through their mind right then. A lot of times when you're looking at companies, if that employee is what they consider to be a key employee, they're going to believe that employer will just keep paying their salary regardless of what happens. Well, we know, it's possible with the company, depending on their financial status, they may do that. But 99% of the cases, we know that isn't going to happen. Next thing to think about is, what does that client really know about the plan that they have? Who enrolled that? Chances are, if it's something they've sold either on a work site or a group environment, an agent has came in, has sold the HR area on that benefit, and they offer it. Either they're giving it to the client or it's an option that they can purchase. But if the client ever needs to get some answers or questions on that policy, who do they go to? HR is there to help out, but, we know most of the time those HR departments, they don't fully understand all the specific details of those benefits. So some questions to ask your client: who pays the premium of that policy that you have through work? For them to think about, we're looking at benefits here. So if the employee pays the premium, the benefits are tax-free. If the employer pays them, they're going to be taxed on those benefits. Ask them what that elimination and benefit period is. Do they have a short-term plan or a long-term plan? What's the definition of disability? Finding out how that actually works and when that pays should be, a legitimate concern of that client if they're paying a premium. So what I'm trying to think about is, just with these questions here, who thinks if you went to one of those clients who told you no, they already have it through work, would have the answers to these questions right now? Chances are you're not going to find any of them that do. Next, I want you to think about that higher income person that you may work with. I want you to think about where they have a group plan, but it has a max benefit. So if you look at that situation, maybe we have a max benefit of $5,000, but this key person who was making more than double that, they're only receiving that $5,000 benefit. Usually what you see there is it'll say, maybe that up to 60% of your salary, and then in smaller letters, it's going to say max benefit of $5,000. So the client's never really aware of that. Also think about highly commissioned positions. I've seen a lot of jobs now, especially in the sales force within companies, where they have a fairly low base salary and very high commission potential. Most of the time, if they do get a plan offered through their work, it's only going to cover that base salary. That base salary may be 15-20% of their actual income. Lastly, you think about, maybe I do have a plan, that client does, and they're paying for it. Ask them how they like running that paycheck protection. So what you can do with these clients is offer to give them a free review of their benefits to make sure they understand the plan. And be there to help them answer some of those questions. Explaining how that plan actually works for them. We know in some situations you're not going to be able to sell additional policy, and something is better than nothing. But giving them some of these information, they change jobs. That's one thing that, we hear a lot. Well, they changed jobs, and this has, I'll have a plan at my new company. we think about there is that carryover with that new waiting period. What happens if there is a condition the client already has? Benefits of that individual plan, then just kind of stressing that as well. It stays with you. You don't have to requalify if your health changes. You don't have to requalify if you're going to a new employer and wait through that waiting period before you have access to those benefits. And again, those riders allow for more of that personalized plan for your client. One thing we have for these clients, anyone you have that does have existing coverage, one of the features in our software, we have that capability to put in all of that information. What that'll do is tell you, based on that coverage that they already have, what additional benefits that we will be able to offer to them. So helps you kind of calculate, so you don't have to actually calculate the exact dollars that they're receiving and benefits that they potentially still could have access to. So another market I want to hit on would be government workers. This truly is an untapped market. One thing I heard, I was out in the DC area this last week, and I was doing a workshop on disability insurance, and one of the agents came up to me and said, well, you know what, I talked with a client who worked for the government, and they told me that they weren't eligible for any other kind of coverage. They had met with another agent and told them they weren't eligible. Well, the truth is, someone told them that, and chances are what it was, they didn't want to have to deal with breaking apart what kind of coverage they potentially already had. So through government workers, they have a program called the FERS. And this FERS is I won't even say it's an insurance product. It is a benefit available in their benefit books that offers access to pension dollars if something were to happen to them that is serious and ends in a disability. But even with this coverage, there are gaps we see. The first gap, if the client is disabled, but it's expected to last under a year, they don't receive any benefits. So I want you to think about, the example here we had our computer tech, our computer programmer. He's got a job where he is spending a lot of time using his hands. If he's in a serious car accident and just has 6 months where he can't use his hands, or he hurts his eyes and can't look at things for long periods of time, and he's not able to do that job, but he's going to be recovered within a year, he would not be eligible to receive benefits. The second gap that this has is for any kind of payments beyond year 2, it only replaces 40% of your pre-disability income. So we know a disability policy is never going to cover 100% of the benefits, but that 60% still seems kind of low for someone who is used to, getting, say, $10,000 a month, and now they're only getting $6,000. It's even worse when you take them down to $4,000. With these plans, that benefit book can be pretty complicated. If you ever have access to one, I would just advise you to give us a call. So for government workers, we know that those benefit books can be all different, whether it's a federal, city, county, state employee. Also depending on hours, some that are their jobs require 50 hours may have different benefits than those that are maxed at 40. So what we do is we just offer some general benefits based on their income. We'll do $1,000 base with $1,800 on that SDIR rider. And can we offer more? That $1,800 extra isn't really a lot. We can look at offering more to your client if you can send us a copy of that benefits book where we actually can go through and analyze that. A lot of times for those government workers, though, they don't realize, because they don't understand that language in that book as well. So they don't understand they have disability insurance. So for you, maybe they've been to that agent before who told them they can't help them or they're not eligible. there's a spot you really can shine with this market of being able to say, hey, you do have access to some, potentially receiving more benefits. So just as an example, we're using this client here, that $75,000 salary, so he's making about $6,250 a month. Let's assume he goes on beyond that 2 years of receiving disability, he's going to get 40%, so $2,500 of his salary from the government, and then he'll get $1,000 from us. Now, the reason for that is that $1,800 will coordinate with anything he's receiving from the government. So once he does start to receive that 40% beyond year 2, chances are he's going to lose that part of his benefit with us, but that'll be very helpful for those first 2 years when he's not receiving it. So we're looking at, for this client, then about a total of 56% replacement versus just that 40%. Last market I want to hit on just very quickly is millennials. What I want to think about is even your current clients, their own children, prospective clients you may work with. Think about the average millennial these days. They are changing jobs on average 7 different times before they settle down in a career. So asking them the question of what they do retain, what do you keep, or what kind of insurance do you have? Most of them, they see themselves as being invincible, where nothing is going to happen. So that waiting period for insurance doesn't seem like a problem to them. So a good way to work with this market with disability is showing them how they can make extra money. So what we're going to show is, hey, you may be invincible. Nothing is going to happen to you. So what we want to look at there is, do we have the potential to show them a situation, if you don't use it, we're going to give you your money back. Buying that policy cheap, it's going to be fairly easy for them to do, and realizing they get their money back, if they do not use it, is a great benefit as well. So just to give you an idea of premiums, if we were looking at 2 25-year-olds, we're going to be paying under $30 a month, so under $1 a day for $2,500 of benefit. So with disability, there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of markets that have been told they can't purchase, never had anyone talk to them, never realized, that the power that their paycheck actually has. And what we have available for you too is based on business that you write. You can qualify for a trip to Dublin, Ireland. Any disability sales that you have or critical illness sales, they're doubled. So average agents would need to do, and depending if you're contracted with us already, if you already are, it's $80,000 of premium, but if it's all DI, for instance, or CI, it only requires $40,000 since we would double that. So what I want you to think about, kind of what we had talked about, thinking of those different markets and different clients that you may have access to. And I want you to think about who you can talk to here in the next week about income protection. And with that, I will open it back up to Jason for any questions you guys may have.
All right. Well, thank you, Christy. If you have any questions, please go ahead and type those. It obviously very informative. It was nice to see that laid out, Christy, very easy, walking us through the various types of industries, and also giving some nice recommendations on what plans might best fit those individuals. Again, if you would like some additional information or need some contracting quotes, you name it, please contact us at our office. Our number here is 800-381-0977. My extension is 110. I'll say that again. It's 800-381-0977, and my extension is 110. Looks like we have a couple questions here, Christy. First one, can agents have a copy of these slides?
Yep, I will. We'll send over a PDF that we can have shared.
Okay. And Scott, not only can we get you the slides, but this will also be recorded, so we can send you a recording, and it will also be posted on our YouTube channel for future viewing as well. Looks like Dave has a question. So your public school teacher is limited on private plans?
Yes, they are on, we have the FERS for the federal employees, and we have the PERS for the school teachers, and the benefits basically are structured the exact same way. So they would be limited on benefits as well. And we have a case study on teachers that I will send over, Jason, to share as well.
Okay, great. Any additional marketing materials that could be useful for the agents as they go out there and talk to their clients about this?
We have a few different case study examples, and I think those are really helpful and ways to present to clients as well. So I'll send the other ones we have over, and then we have a really unique thing with our writers. As I mentioned, we have 10 different writers. We have a sheet that will go over more, I would more say like a layman's term description of how the writers work and an example you can use with your clients. So I think that really helps them to be able to understand, the benefits of that opportunity you may be showing them for an additional dollar. So I will get that over to you as well as, I think it's useful in my own sales, and I've been doing this for 12 years. So.
Okay, great. No, that's helpful. Hopefully, did that answer your question, Dave? Now we can, of course, follow back up with you and answer that more thoroughly. Are there any other questions before we wrap the webinar up? All right. Well, it looks like you covered it pretty thoroughly, Christy. Again, thank you for joining us today, and I want to thank all of you out there who scheduled this in and made time out of your busy schedules to join us. We certainly look forward to working with each of you with Assurity. And again, our contact information is up there on the side screen. If you have any additional questions, give us a call. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up, Christy?
I would just say if anyone has any questions, that phone number there on your screen, give them a call, and we'll be more than happy to work with you guys to accommodate or find ways to offer that plan to any clients that you have.
All right, excellent. Well, again, thank you, Christy. Thank all of you for coming out, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right, have a great day.
All right, bye now. You too.